Hello, this is Chef John from foodwishes.com with Southern style slow cooked green beans. That's right. Why in the world would we take something that normally takes 5 minutes to cook and cook it for 2 hours? Because it produces one of the most delicious things you'll ever taste. And while it may seem crazy to quote unquote overcook green beans this long, one taste of these and you'll realize it's actually crazy not to. So let me show you how to make these just in case you have the courage to try them. All right, step one, I'm going to take a saucepan and place it on medium heat. We're going to throw in 1 handful of sliced bacon. Because this is a Southern-inspired recipe, I'm using the Southern units of measure. So 1 handful of bacon, and we're going to cook that on medium heat until it's almost crisp. We don't want it super dark brown, but we want it almost crispy. All right, so give it a stir once in a while, and while that's working, we might as well slice up our onion. That's just good time management. So I have a yellow onion that I peeled and cut in half, and we're going to slice it, but not across the grain. We usually go that way, but we're going to turn it and cut in the same directions as those lines. And by cutting the onion in the same direction that the fibers that hold the onion together go, those pieces are actually going to hold their shape better and they won't just all disappear. But having said that, you slice it in any fashion you see fit. You are the Tim Gunn of your onion. So we're going to slice up an onion. By this time, the bacon should be pretty much ready, which it is. It'll look like that. All right, sometimes we drain the bacon fat and sometimes we don't. And this time, we don't. All right, so just leave that fat in there. We can skim that off later if we want. We're going to go ahead and throw in our onion. And then you know what's going to happen. The salt in the bacon is going to pull moisture out of the onion, which in turn is going to deglaze the bottom. And those onions are going to get all soft and sweet and golden brown. So we're going to cook that stirring. That's going to probably take about 5 minutes for that to happen. And once it does, let's go ahead and throw in some minced garlic. All right, a couple cloves. Give that about a 1 minute stir. You know the drill. We don't want to brown the garlic. And then we're going to throw in just a touch of tomato. So I'm just using like a 1/4 cup of tomato sauce. You could use chopped fresh tomato. In fact, I encourage it. Or pretty much any tomato product. And we'll give that a stir. And that pot right there is ready for the green beans. And there we go. I have about 2 pounds of regular adult green beans. Don't use those little skinny French ones. Those are nice for some things, but not this. And these are fully trimmed. The ends have been cut off. And we'll go ahead and add those to the pot. And once the beans go in, we're going to add some liquid. I'm going to add chicken stock. You could certainly use water or a combination. At this point, you can raise the heat to high. And while we're waiting for that to come up to a simmer, let's go ahead and add a little seasoning. We're going to add some freshly ground black pepper, some cayenne, and a pinch of salt. And we'll adjust the salt later. You just want to pinch at this point. The bacon has salt in it, of course. So we're going to season that up. And as this comes up to temperature, the beans will lose their rigidity and they'll kind of slump down into that stock. And you'll see as it starts to boil, the liquid level should be right up to the top of the beans. And at this point, we're going to turn our heat down to medium-low. And we just want to maintain a steady simmer. All right, so we don't want it too low. We do want some bubbles, but we don't want a rolling boil either. So somewhere in between, we call that the Goldilocks simmer. And then all you're going to do is let that simmer for 2 hours. I know, it sounds crazy, but it's not crazy at all. Give it a gentle stir once in a while, and that's really all you have to do. Of course, you will monitor your liquid level. If it seems like it's getting low, you'll add a splash of stock or water. And on the other hand, after 2 hours, if it seems like there's too much liquid, just raise your heat and reduce a little bit. Now, one thing I do like to do at about the 1.5 hour mark, I will give a little taste for salt. I added a little pinch here. And yes, if you want to, as it's simmering, you can skim off a little bit of that bacon fat. Or as my friends in the South would tell you, don't. So anyway, you're simply going to stew those beans for that crazy long cooking time. And after 2 hours, you're going to have yourself a pot of the softest, tenderest, sweetest, most succulent, gorgeous green beans you've ever tasted in your life. So right there, mine were just absolutely perfect. Look at that. I don't even mind the color. I think those are gorgeous. So we're going to spoon those up on a serving platter. Make sure you're using something kind of deep, something with a rim. There's going to be a lot of juice. That's what you dip your cornbread into. Oh, yeah. I've said it before and I'll say it again. People down south, they know how to eat. All right? So we're going to put that on a plate. There's no need for garnish. Just start eating. And seriously, if you like green beans in their bright green, crisp, tender state, force yourself to give these a try. It is an entirely different and new and exciting green bean experience. I mean, I love pink medium rare steak, but that doesn't mean I don't eat stew once in a while. So yes, this is a recipe video, but it's really a little more than that. It's about not being a slave to conventional wisdom and always cooking things the same way. I love a quick stir-fried green bean side dish. but I also love this. And to be honest, I like this way more. So I really do hope you give that a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.